We are Saber Sports.
Hello and welcome to the final episode of Saber Sports this season. Get ready for our best takes, debates, and analysis yet. Let's get into it. Today at the desk, we have Shane Fordham, Jeremiah Williams, Chris Zellis, and special guest Marc Davis, WTKR sports reporter and director, here to talk about last week's NFL draft.
Absolutely. Thanks, Simone. For the last show of the semester, we felt the only way to make it special is to have a special guest. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the one and only Mr. Marc Davis himself, sports director and reporter for WTKR News 3. I also have Jeremiah Williams and Chris Zellis here with me at the desk. Mr. Davis, it's good to see you again. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks a lot for having me. It's really an honor to be with you here today.
Well, we appreciate you making the time to be on with us today after especially a busy weekend this past weekend with the draft. As we know, Commanders taking Jayden Daniels, number 2 overall. So just getting right into it, what do you think makes Jayden Daniels the best pick for the Commanders as opposed to other highly favorited quarterbacks in this year's draft like Drake May and J.J. McCarthy?
Yes, Shane, and great question, just given the depth of the quarterback class we had. 6 picks go in the top 12 that went to quarterbacks? So we haven't seen that in quite some time, so it was pretty exciting. And, there are a lot of good choices out there. But Jayden Daniels, I think, is the best choice for Washington. You got a guy that can change the game in a multitude of ways. Legs, arm, very skilled. We saw that highlight reel, very Heisman Trophy worthy winning highlights, we've seen when they drafted him. So definitely a guy that can come in, make an immediate impact at a position where you needed to make that happen. Adam Peters and Dan Quinn needed to make a splash in their first draft in their positions for a franchise just dying for a winner. So I think they went out and did that.
Definitely a great pick. Now, with that being said, do you think that a quarterback with the number 2 overall pick was definitely the way to go this year, or do you think that there were other positions that maybe they needed more than a quarterback this year?
Yeah, well, I know some of you guys sitting up there play football, so you know that every position is important, and you know that there are so many, pieces to a football team that can be key. But yes, I think quarterback was the way you had to go this draft, especially with this class and having the number 2 pick. I think 12 or 13 guys have started at that position for Washington since the start of the 2018 season. Sam Howell was the first guy since Kirk Cousins in 2017 to start every game of the year. So, you needed consistency at that position. You needed to get somebody who can come in here, be a playmaker, but just give you a guy who can stay there. Now, how will his college game translate to the pro game? That remains to be seen, obviously, as he adjusts, but I think he has a pretty good chance. He's got the tangibles and the intangibles. I think he can rally a locker room, and I definitely think this is the position they needed to focus on and get a guy in here with having the number 2 pick that can make a difference at the most important position on the field, who touches the ball every play.
Definitely, and that's understandable, too, because of how important the position of quarterback is. I'm sure Chris will be able to touch on that later today. But being able to make up also for other positions on the field that may be lacking in certain areas. So with that being said, with the additions of Austin Eckler, bringing in Austin Eckler, pairing him with Brian Robinson Jr. in the backfield, bringing back Terry McLaurin for another year, Jahan Dotson, Diami Brown, bringing in a vet like Zach Ertz, how far do you think Jayden Daniels can go with this offense this year in his rookie season?
Well, I think Chris can attest to the fact that it's easier to play quarterback when you're standing on your feet, and not looking up at the sky or looking at the lights. So, they have a lot of weapons, but I think a lot of that's going to come down to the line, and they have some time to beef up here over the course of Jayden Daniels' career, but you want a guy who can stay on his feet. How much did we see Sam Howell on his back this past year? He was sacked more than any other quarterback in the league, and it wasn't even close. You got to keep him upright to be able to get the ball to those weapons, right? So I think, that's going to be key. Now, they added some great weapons. Like you said, McLaurin has been there, arguably a top 5 receiver in the league. You bring in Ertz, who's a proven tight end, tail end of his career. His days are probably behind him, but still can make some plays. We'll see how he can do here at the tail end. Eckler, right? Still a playmaker. Great to have him and Brian Robinson back there as that 2-headed monster. So Daniels has the weapons around him, but keep him on his feet so he can use them. That would be my hope if I were a Commanders fan.
Right. So with that being said, we know Jaden Daniels is a dangerous quarterback with his arm and through his legs. Right. Definitely will be more of a competitive division for the NFC East this year for sure. Now, in terms of impact, with that being said, do you think that Jaden Daniels, or between the rookie QBs, who do you think will have the biggest immediate impact this season in their rookie season between Jaden and Caleb Williams, the #1 overall pick to Chicago?
Well, that's a really good question. I'm really curious to hear where you guys weigh on this too. You have a Bears team that was a little bit ahead of the Commanders this past season, and both front offices that went out and really made a lot of moves, right? I think the Bears may be a little bit ahead here just because, adding, Keenan Allen, et cetera. They went at DJ Moore at receivers. They obviously have some really good, weapons there. Commanders have some good weapons too. I think it all comes down to that line. I know I'm really hammering home on this, but that line's ability to keep their quarterback on their feet, that's going to be key. But, if I had to guess today, I might say the Bears, and this isn't a slight to Jaden. I still think he was the right pick for the Commanders, and I still think he will do very well there. But I think the Bears just might be a little bit – they entered a little bit ahead, and they came out a little bit ahead. So I think, you might see the Bears have some more success more quickly than the Commanders do. But, hey, that's why they play the game. We just sit here and talk about it, right, guys?
Right. Well, opening it up for Chris and Jerry to hop in here. Chris, let's start with you, the quarterback. Who do you have? Who do you have making the biggest impact?
When we talk about, being able to have an immediate impact and talking this upcoming season, I'm actually going to go with Jaden Daniels. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say it is because of how freakishly athletic he is. When you look at in this league at the quarterback position, we have a lot of great pass rushers, but when you look at pass rushers against athletic quarterbacks, they aren't able to rush because that creates run lanes for the athletic quarterback. So I think Daniels being able to be explosive in defenses, knowing how explosive he will be early, won't be something where, we're trying to find out how explosive. They know that this guy can take it 60 at any given second in the game. So I think they will have to be smart in how they rush, which will help his O-line that, as Dave talked about, needs to be beefed up, but it will help them early on. And I think, when we talked about it earlier in the year, I thought Daniels was the most NFL-ready guy with just the smoothness of his game, his ability to read, his ability to react, and process information quickly and make the right decision. I think that will help him as well. And another big thing to mention is Cliff Kingsbury being his OC, who has handled Kyler Murray, has handled Mayfield, has handled Jalen Hurts, and all took those guys to success in college. I think that will help Daniels. That relationship between him and Cliff will be able to drive them to success this year.
Wow. I agree with everything you said, Chris. Like, I'm going to go with, and there's no shot, against Caleb Williams, but I'm going with Jaden Daniels as well. You said athleticism, but also you have to look at the burst of speed, his ability to create, his good deep ball accuracy. That's something you can't teach, and when you have that already, I feel like you're going to make an immediate impact for the team you play for. You mentioned everything with, his speed and all, but you look at his weapons, like Terry McLaurin. Like, when you have somebody like that, it makes the job a little bit easier. So I feel like he's going to be like the #1 guy to start off really, really fast in the NFL.
If this was any other year, I would agree with you guys, but I'm going to side with Mr. Davis on this one. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a tougher year for the Commanders this year than the Bears, simply because of their schedule. Okay. Any other year, I would side with Jaden, but this year, especially because of the division that the Bears are in this year, which could arguably be, Mr. Davis, correct me if I'm wrong, but could arguably be the best division in football this year with the Lions, the Packers, the Bears, and the Vikings. Right. With J.J. McCarthy and those offensive weapons that we'll touch on next block. But I think that looking at the Commanders' schedule this year, Mr. Davis, you touched on this yourself, with that O-line being a significant weakness within the offense that was shored up this year, they have to see some of the best pass rushers that the NFL has to offer this year. They have to see the Eagles and Cowboys twice, away and home and on the road. They have to see the Steelers, T.J. Watt and the Steelers front. They have to see Myles Garrett and the Browns. Mm-hmm. They have to see the Ravens. We saw how dominant that D-line was last year, even without Jadeveon Clowney returning. Right. But then they have to see the Bengals. Who knows? Hopefully, if depending on if Trey Hendrickson stays or not. I know he just requested a trade, but their schedule at home and on the road is going to be significantly tougher this year, I think, than the Bears, because even though the Bears have to see all those teams twice, outside of their division play, I think it's more of a manageable schedule for them as opposed to the Commanders. So this year, I'm going to have to side with Caleb Williams.
It's going to be really interesting to see, who comes out, who starts really fast. 'Cause I feel like they're both talented quarterbacks, but I feel like with Jaden Daniels, his ball accuracy and athleticism is going to take him a long way. Not to take anything away from Caleb Williams, but I feel like with Williams, they're already calling him like the second coming of Mahomes, so they're already starting to key on to him in certain things. I know, which is crazy, but I feel like the NFL was already starting to key up on him, and I feel like it's going to be harder for him to get hot early on.
And I think, again, just going back to the point I made, I think, the Commanders will be fine with Jaden Daniels just talking about, again, what he can do in the run game and how that can affect them. And then I think I really just feel like, the connection between him and Cliff is going to be big time because when you look at C.J. Stroud in his position last year that he was in, he had to see some of the best pass rush in the league. But the fact that his offensive coordinator took care of him, allowed him to get the ball out quick, screen, because they didn't even have a run game in Houston. He was still very successful. And I think that the Commanders will have a better run game with Eckler, with Brian Robinson, and with Daniels being able to run a triple threat in the run game. And you talk about Kingsbury being able to get the ball out quick. Screens, perimeter screens to Eckler. Eckler can catch it out the backfield. So I think they'll be fine. I think the Commanders will be fine. I think Daniels will be fine.
And Mr. Davis, as we close out here, who do you think will have more of an impact in the league in terms of the bigger picture of their career between Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams?
Yeah, and that's a good one. And I like the point. You guys made great points, and I think we can all agree, just going back to what you said about McLaurin, let's get him the ball more, right? I mean, we saw that guy. He was a little underutilized, I thought. So I think you guys made some great points there, no doubt. Same with the schedule there, Shane, you too. But yeah, I mean, overall, the big picture, yeah, I mean, and I totally agree that that Caleb Williams has been pretty hyped up here. There's quite a bit on his shoulders. But long term, they both definitely have the potential, but man, I like Jaden Daniels long term. I like Jaden Daniels long term. I think you're going to see the entire vision that Washington is doing from the top down, in terms of from Adam Peters to Dan Quinn to the players to the coaches to everybody, what they're bringing in. I think that is setting themselves up for long-term success. And even if they don't see it right away, I mean, they even said themselves, we got to temper some expectations here in 2024 because we don't want people expecting us to go out and win the Super Bowl right now. But I think they're setting themselves up for more long-term success, and that's going to be a pretty exciting thing to see if you're a Commanders fan.
We heard it here first from Mr. Marc Davis, WTKR News 3 sports director and reporter. Thank you for being on with us so much today, Mr. Davis. We appreciate having you. Simone, we now go back to you.
We're headed to our first break, but we won't be gone long. After the break, we'll be discussing draft picks Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy. We'll be right back. In the recent NFL draft, USC quarterback Caleb Williams went to Chicago at number 1, while Minnesota drafted Michigan QB J.J. McCarthy 10th overall. Both rosters are stacked. Jeremiah, which QB went to the best situation?
This is easy, fellas, and I'm going to go with Caleb Williams, Chicago Bears. If you have weapons like DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, he literally just has to get the ball out and throw the ball. He literally has to just, step back, say hi, and he has to throw to one of those options. It's a perfect position for a rookie quarterback. Oftentimes rookies go into situations and they don't have anything to, throw to or even look to in regards to, leadership and even catching the ball. But in this, Caleb Williams, we know how explosive he is, how amazing quarterback he is. And when you have guys like this on the roster already, it makes his job so much easier. So this is a perfect situation. Keenan Allen's been on several rosters. He knows how to lead, so that he's able to, give to Caleb Williams what he's missing because he's a rookie. So definitely, Chicago Bears for sure.
I'm going to agree with Jay. We're going to go, Caleb Williams. Look at this roster with Swift. They drafted Odin Duns from Washington. Also added Keenan Allen, Jared Everett, a veteran tight end. I think the big question mark for this Bears team is going to be, that offensive line. They have 4 returning starters. They went out and signed 3 this offseason. So, I think they are making the moves. I think this Bears organization has shown that they're all in with Caleb Williams. And I think that's why he will be put in the best position to see, and he has, the best chance to see early. Just looking at what they've done in the offseason, I don't know how many moves the Vikings have necessarily made. Surrounding J.J. McCarthy, it just seems they're going to try and plug him into what they have right now. And they do have a talented roster over there with Addison and Justin Jefferson. But I do think, Caleb Williams will have the better situation to go in and play and be successful.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go with J.J. McCarthy.
Okay.
Now, this whole NFC North division could arguably be, like we said with Mr. Davis on the line, could arguably be the best division in football this year, especially in the NFC.
Right.
But I'm going to go with the Vikings, J.J. McCarthy to the Vikings. I think in every category or almost every category, the Vikings have the better option. Starting with the coach, offensive caller, McConnell in Minnesota, Eberflus and Bears. I mean, you already know who I think who the better play caller is McConnell. I'll take McConnell as a play caller over Eberflus any day of the week. You know, he's had some success in Minnesota, especially with Kirk. Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen. Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the National Football League right now. Keenan Allen, even though when he's healthy, I'm a Keenan Allen fan. When he's healthy, he's a true number one receiver, but he has an issue staying healthy. You know, he's getting up there in age. So I think if you have to depend on someone, I mean, clearly you're going to pick Justin Jefferson over Keenan Allen every time. Then Jordan Addison, DJ Moore. You probably side more with DJ Moore, but Jordan Addison is a good number 2. He's only getting better, you know, after his rookie year. I like Jordan Addison. Then you got T.J. Hockenson, who could be arguably a top 5 tight end in the league right now. You know, he's supposed to be coming back healthy this year. Then they picked up Aaron Jones when he's healthy. One of the best dual threats at running back in the league. He's dominant in the run game and in the pass. And then if you're looking at their O-line, the Vikings have one of the best O-lines in the league. You know, they have a 66% win rate in terms of pass blocking, which is number 3 in the league. The Bears are ranked 5th in the league with a 64% pass block rating. You need that, especially as a rookie. And they also have Sam Darnold as a veteran quarterback who will turn into a backup for J.J. McCarthy. But the Vikings could go either way with this. You know, they could give J.J. McCarthy time to develop behind Sam Darnold, you know, not having to be thrown to the wolves and thrown in directly into the fire his rookie season. But if he, you know, ends up clearly outplaying Sam Darnold, you know, in preseason, in training camp, he could just start right away. Or it could be a mix of both. You know, he comes in later in the season, you know, once he starts feeling more comfortable within the offense. So I feel like J.J. McCarthy is definitely in the better situation, especially because there's a lot on Caleb Williams' shoulders in Chicago. You know, if he doesn't perform and meet expectations right away, it's going to be viewed as a letdown, as a bust.
You know, I think with any rookie coming in, entering their first league, there are question marks. You know, my biggest question mark for McCarthy is, you know, how will he handle, if he is to be put into a position where he's starting this year for the Vikings, how will he handle having to shoulder the load now? Because at the end of the day, playing the quarterback position, no matter how much talent you have to perform and get the job done. How will you handle that? Because at Michigan, you know, they had Blake Corum, who was an amazing running back. They had a great offensive line. And McCarthy made some great plays. He definitely got the ball where he needed to be, but I feel like there's a difference in Caleb Williams being prepared to take the win. So we talk about the pressure that, you know, he has so much pressure, but I think he's built for this pressure. I think he's able to handle it. You know, I don't think this will be anything new for Caleb Williams. I think my biggest question mark for Caleb Williams is, will he take the smart play? Will he not try and force it? Will he not try and do too much? I think that's where, you know, we saw in college he ran into a little bit of trouble with the turnover problem. But I think, you know, talent-wise, he's ready. You know, IQ-wise, he's ready. I just think it will be, you know, as a rookie, are you not forcing it and just making the right play consistently? I think that's what it comes down to because of the expectation, because he's played so great, because he is a great quarterback, and I think he'll be just fine early on in his career.
I'm excited to see what the Bears have to offer this season for sure.
Coming up next, we'll discuss if Jokic can be a top 5 center of all time. We'll be right back after this break. With the NBA awards being chosen and the playoffs finally being here, with Jokic being a frontrunner for MVP, Monet, if Jokic wins his second straight ring this year, would he be in the conversation for the top 5 centers of all time?
Top 5 of all time? I would probably say yes, just because he had back-to-back MVPs and he's going back-to-back with championships, and looking at his numbers, definitely think he would be in the top 5, although, you know, people will argue that, you know, the eras are different. He's not playing in the same era that guys like Shaq was playing in. It's not as dominant, but seeing what he's doing and seeing the numbers that he's putting up and seeing him being the best player in the NBA with his back-to-back MVPs and back-to-back championships, if it happens, he definitely has to go down as top 5.
Go ahead, Shane.
Heck no. Now, hey, if I could curse on here, y'all know I would say something else.
Wait.
Heck no. Top 5 all time?
So who's your top 5?
We're talking top 5 all
So
time?
who's your top 5?
We're talking Shaq,
One,
Wilt,
two.
Kareem, Hakeem Olajuwon.
Who's the fifth?
Even if you want to put Moses Malone up there, Bill Russell, like, are you serious?
I won't give it. Don't say
Top
Bill Russell.
5?
Don't give Bill Russell. Please
Hold on,
don't say Bill Russell. Don't say Bill Russell.
Let's look at this. We're talking about centers right now.
Right.
We're talking top 5 centers. Now,
Okay.
Jokic is definitely one of, if not the best player in the league right now. Player.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about center, let me ask you guys a question. What is the most? What are the 2 most important stats for a center, other than points?
Rebounds.
Okay. What else?
Blocks.
Okay.
Assists?
In every one of
blocks?
those categories, career-wise, Jokic is averaging less rebounds and blocks than all of the guys I just named. And guess who else he's averaging less than career-wise? Joel Embiid. So if we're saying Jokic is going to be in the conversation for top 5 centers of all time, Joel needs to be in there too. Now, mind you, I don't think either one of them should be in the conversation yet. Early. I don't think either one of them should be in the conversation yet this early. Stay with me, Mo. Stay with me, Mo. I see you rolling your eyes. Stay with me. If we're talking about top 5 centers all time, other than points, Shaq is averaging obviously more points career-wise than Jokic.
Wow.
Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell are obviously averaging more points and rebounds and blocks career-wise than Jokic. So is Hakeem Olajuwon. So is Moses Malone. So is David Robinson. And so is Joel Embiid. Now, the only difference between Joel Embiid and Jokic is the fact that Joel Embiid just can't stay healthy long enough to make a playoff run. That's the only difference. He's more dominant in the paint. He's just as good of a shooter as Jokic. He's a better rebounder, and don't even try to tell me he's not a better defender than Jokic. So I don't think that Jokic should be considered top 5 center of all time if he wins this year.
Wow.
But at the same time, I'm not saying Joel Embiid does either. I'm just saying if we're considering Jokic, then that same consideration could be made to Joel Embiid. Jerry, let me know if I'm wrong.
You know, Shane, I love you, right? And these last couple weeks, we've agreed, but now we go back to
normal.
Back to normal, everybody. Back to normal. Because, okay, one problem I have is adding Bill Russell as a top 5, because granted different areas. He was playing against guys like 5'11", 6'3" at center. You can't add, and listen, before I get into mine, don't add Joel Embiid. He doesn't have a championship. Granted he has to stay healthy, but you can't add him in there. Okay, back on task. Yes, he is going to be, if he wins, he will be considered, a top 5, So, okay, before we start, right, my top 5, in no order, but Kareem, Shaq, Hakeem, Wilt, and Jokic, if he wins. I look at dominance, and right now he's been dominant the last couple of years. 145 triple-doubles. Right now he's averaging 30, 12, and 9. You cannot teach that, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot teach that. And when you look at those numbers, you look at his dominance, you look at what he's accomplished so far and what he is about to do, if he does it, you can't argue that. So say if he does win, right? He's 2-0 in the finals. Okay, that's positive. He hasn't lost. He took out LeBron. You got to look at resumes, and that's what I look at. So if he does win, safe to say he is top 5. So you got to give it to him.
Oh my God.
This guy's a 6-time All-Star. He's an NBA champion with a Finals MVP, 5-time All-NBA. Looking to repeat, and it's looking good for him right now.
Right.
I just feel like, not that he's revolutionized playing center, but I think he's playing center at an elite level in a different way than these other dominant Hall of Famers you speak of, Shaq, Hakeem.
Change the narrative.
Who you had? Moses Malone.
He said David Robinson.
What? If we're going numbers, if we're going numbers.
And, let's not forget, Jokic is nowhere near done playing. I think he wins another chip. He will have another Finals MVP to add to his award list. And I just think at this point when we talk about dominance, when you look at how good Shaq was, how good Hakeem was, they were dominant. Night in, night out, nobody can stop them. Right now, that's what Jokic is doing consistently. Nobody can stop them night in and night out, and he's winning. Embiid is not winning anything. Jokic can stay healthy, and he's winning at a high level and winning consistently. I think that's why I can squeeze him in right at number 5 if he wins and gets this Finals MVP again.
And his numbers, like Chris, you hit everything on the head.
He facilitates, bro.
He doesn't take nights off. He puts the same thing.
But Monet, correct me if I'm wrong. Does Jokic or does he not have one of the best playoff performers in the league right now on his squad in Jamal
No,
Murray?
he does, but Jokic is their best player.
You can't.
He's
control that, Shane.
He's their best player.
You can't control that, Shane.
He's their best player.
Shane, you can't control that.
He's their best player, but the thing about Joel is,
I will argue.
No,
I don't
want to hear Joel.
No, you could
I don't
argue-
want to hear
you could
Joel in
argue-
this conversation.
You could argue that
I don't want to hear Joel in this
I don't
conversation
think, I don't think,
at all.
I don't think either one deserve to be in the top 5 all time.
No, but why are we adding Joel
But if you're
Embiid?
putting Jokic in there, Joel Embiid is averaging more
What?
than him career-wise in every important stat.
Why are we
He's
adding
averaging-
Joel Embiid?
Hold on,
Shane,
hold on.
why are we
Hold on.
doing this?
He has, aside from championships,
Are
he
you
has
kidding?
more. He has more defensive teams. He has 3 defensive teams to Jokic's 0.
Jesus.
He has 2 scoring titles to Jokic's 0. He's averaging 27.9 career-wise to Jokic's 20. He's averaging 11.2 rebounds to Jokic's 10.
There's no way.
He's averaging almost 2 blocks per game to Jokic's 0.7. The only thing Jokic is averaging more than him is assists per game. Because Jokic doesn't need to. I mean, Joel Embiid doesn't need to facilitate like that. He's a center.
Is Joel Embiid top 5
I
for you?
get.
Is Joel Embiid top 5 for you?
I already said no.
So why are we arguing about him
Because
then?
the point
Why?
is. Because the point
Why
is.
are we bringing him up?
Because the point is, I'm saying Jokic does not need to be in the consideration for top 5 this early. I'm not saying he won't get there, but I'm saying right now, after
the
just
question?
this year,
What's the
no.
question?
My point is, and I'm re-emphasizing that point by saying,
Oh my
if
Lord.
we're going to put Jokic in that conversation, then that means we need to put Joel closer to that conversation.
We can't.
too,
We can't.
Just off stats.
We can't. You know why? Because he hasn't been there, Shane. He hasn't. Talk to me when he gets to an Eastern Conference
Joel
Finals.
has bad
Then we can
teams.
have the conversation. Right now, that's not happening.
Mo-
So we can't be in the conversation.
Mo, I can see you have something to say. Go ahead.
He has 0 final appearances. He has 1 MVP, which could have went to Jokic. If we're being real. He's can't get past the Celtics. Looks like can't get past the Knicks. What else is there?
Jalen Brunson.
What else does Embiid have that Jokic doesn't have?
All right, well, Simone, it looks like I'm clearly outmanned here at the desk. We go back to you.
Oh my Lord.
Coming up next, we have our Athlete of the Week, Daniel Flynn. We'll be right back after this break. And now we go to our Athlete of the Week with Logan Russell in the field.
This next student athlete spotlight is what you can consider an ace on this tennis court.
Daniel Flynn took the courts by storm, making his mark, and now this graduating senior is hoping to leave his legacy behind.
It's such a heartwarming experience knowing that you have your teammates around you supporting you, and I'm glad that I got the chance to compete for this school.
Through hard work and dedication, Flynn was voted the CAA's Men's Tennis Player of the Week, but he says there is no I in team.
I know I'm the knight in shining armor to win the CAA Player of the Week, but it's a true reflection of how hard my team has worked this season. We've had tough practices, we've had some changes to our schedule and stuff, but honestly, it's a true reflection of the work ethic we have here at Hampton.
Flynn hopes to continue his passion for tennis even after graduation, saying that he plans on going pro. Reporting for Saber Sports, I'm Logan Russell.
Thanks, Logan. That's all we have for today's show. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to tune back in with us next time. You're watching Saber Sports for your favorite sports.